Hey WedSetters, I'm Lisa Brenchley, host of the WedSetter podcast, and I've helped thousands of couples create their best day ever on the beautiful island of Bali. We are your guide to Bali weddings, where we will talk to the finest wedding vendors in the industry. We chat to the people running Bali's leading wedding venues, real brides sharing their best day ever, and other clever folk doing really great things in Bali. You'll hear wedding planning tips and tricks, local hotspots, and hidden Bali gems you don't want to miss. Let's get you down the aisle.
Originally, I used to be Jutchi Productions, which I started in 2013. And prior to that, I'd done trips to Bali just with friends and family, surfing and just loving the lifestyle. Early 2000s was the first time I came, and I just fell in love with the place. Like I felt really connected to here. I felt that the culture and the people really resonated with me, and I was kind of from that time thinking, how do I make a life for myself to live here and be a part of what Bali was known for and is known for. I guess the biggest thing is as well, if you are doing that sort of living life that way in a sense, opportunities just arise out of nowhere. And there's no doubt that if I hadn't done it again, these sorts of opportunities wouldn't have arisen, you know. I was shooting an event retreat at a hotel where they were doing an event as well, and they just sort of crossed paths, and just don't know, through a series of fortunate events, connections and people I have made friends with along the way, knew the owner, and we sort of got along really well, and you know, as the Aussies would say, Bob's your uncle.
Yeah.
But fortunate that fell in my favour. But he's put me on certain trips to just do like a surfing trip for a week with some mates, or just go shoot the new boat. Prior to the pandemic, we did Maldives, which was one of the best trips I've ever done.
In this episode, we talk to Jaran from Motion House Weddings all about Bali wedding photography. He shares the best time of day to get those epic wedding shots, and whether he thinks you should have a photography shot list for your wedding day. All of that and more in this absolutely amazing chat. Take a listen. Today, we have the wonderful Jaran, the photography and videography specialist behind Motion House. To us, he's the creative whiz behind the epic wedding videos you see, plus he's spent years filming the famous Finn's Beach Club, and more recently was the creative behind our $20,000 Bali wedding giveaway video. Welcome to the Bali Bride Guide, Jaran!
Hello.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm really excited to have you here today to talk all about photography, videography, in and out of weddings. I know you do both. But to kick off the podcast first, we always start with a really great question. What is the wildest thing you've had happen at one of the weddings that you've shot?
Thanks, Lisa. Wildest. Full disclosure, I'm going to be a little bit cautious with what things I can share, because I've seen some amazing stuff at weddings.
I'm sure.
I've had the opportunity to see some amazing moments, I guess, where you probably can't repeat them here in podcast room, but there's also been a few like standout moments. I guess one of them for me would probably be, this was actually at one of my best mates' weddings. His last name's Gelding, and we were driving along in the bridal party. I was in the car with him, and a wild horse ran across the road in front of the car. No idea. We're in Darwin, by the way. Darwin's quite a wild place, but there was this horse that ran in front of the car, sort of caught us all off guard. The driver had to slow down, and I was kind of like, was that a gelding when he drove past, when he ran past, and everyone in the car was kind of a little bit like, wow, did that actually happen?
Is a gelding a horse?
Oh, gelding's a horse.
Right.
Sorry, I should have established that at the beginning.
I was kind of like...
gelding is a horse, and it's a male horse. It's a part of like, I don't know, whatever the horse industry does. But he's, obviously last name's Gelding. And when it ran across in front of the car, everyone was sort of like blown away. And what happened was, long story short, the horse had jumped the fence and ran. But as he was doing his bridal shoot, it just happened to run across in front of the car. So for us, that was kind of...
Is it in the shots?
No, well, his brother pulled his phone out as it happened and took a photo through the side window of the car as it had passed.
Yeah.
It's a blurry
just
shot.
To get it.
But he got it. He got it and he nailed it. So everyone just from that moment was kind of like, wow, this obviously wedding's meant to be. Joel is one of my best mates and Keisha. So we're like, oh, that was meant to be. There's reason behind you guys getting married. This horse ran in front of the car.
Oh, so true.
But there was one other thing that I guess that pops to mind was I'm going to bring up my own wedding, which is pretty fun. We had a great time. I didn't expect this to happen on the wedding.
Where were you married?
We got married here in Bali.
Yeah.
So we got married in Tanalot, which is like, I guess, 10 minutes, 15 minutes from Canggu. We got a villa out on the sort of like, do you remember the old Nawana golf course, which is owned by Trump?
So, I didn't know it was owned by Trump.
It was an ex-owner of it. I don't know, something happened there and he's no longer affiliated with it. But that golf course, there's a villa right on the cliffside and we got married there. And I guess through some connections we had in the industry, my partner, having worked with the bridal industry, she got like all the vendors involved. And one of them, which was a shisha company, we had like a boho set up and we had like a sit-down dinner, sharing plates, everyone just having a good time. And we thought, oh, it'd be fun if we sort of like set up this little shisha area. Everyone can have a little bit of a, puff of a shisha.
Yeah.
The whole wedding party ended up at this shisha like setup that no one was sitting back at like all the bridal tables. The shisha was the hit.
Yeah.
And like Ree's grandma was
in there too.
On the shisha. Ree's mum, my mum, like everyone that we didn't expect would get onto the shishas, absolutely loved them. So for me, that was kind of like, that was pretty wild. And I was like, that's not something I didn't expect.
And I'm sure everyone was talking about Nana for days
was kind of like, what about that shisha moment? Everyone's sort of like having fun. That's where funnily enough, some of our favourite photos from the whole wedding day were from that moment because everyone was sort of just having a connection together and
the best time.
Having fun and really just letting loose.
Yeah.
And to us, that was like, that was probably one of the best moments of our day.
That's awesome.
But there's plenty of other things that have happened.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I don't want to go into too much detail.
You can tell me off air.
Yeah, I can tell you off air, exactly right.
So tell me a little bit about Motion House and why Bali?
Why Bali? Great question. And why Motion House? So originally, I used to be Jachi Productions, which I started in 2013. And prior to that, I'd done trips to Bali just with friends and family, surfing and just loving the lifestyle. Early 2000s was the first time I came and I just fell in love with the place. Like I felt really connected to here. I felt that the culture and the people really resonated with me. And I was kind of from that time thinking, how do I make a life for myself to live here and be a part of what Bali was known for and is known for. And obviously there's so many people giving chance and life to Bali and trying to make something of it that it just drove me here. There was other things I was doing in Australia that helped set up to get to where I am now, but Jachi Productions, which means brothers Productions. It's a long story. I grew up in Darwin and that was kind of like the name I chose. Didn't really resonate and stick with people. That's why I rebranded.
Yeah.
And since rebranding and changing it to Motion House, I've definitely felt that there's that ability for people to just remember and pass on that information.
I actually forgot you rebranded. And
yes,
I knew you before the rebrand. Yeah, interesting.
There's a big part of me that is still very much attached to that side that originated the whole progression into what I'm doing now. Like,
well, it's where you started. You'll always be connected to it. Yeah,
exactly. And the support that I had when I was starting out doing that from friends and family was immense. Like I had so much support. People just saying, and supporting me. Like the first thing that got me into it was probably I used to play a lot of Aussie rules footy. And one of the boys was getting married and he was like, oh, you film? I'm like, yeah, but like I film surfing and I film, me and my brother taking marks on each other's back in the backyard from when we were young growing up. And I was like, yeah, I could probably have a go. He's like, I want you to film it. And I was like, okay, all right, I can do it. I sort of had to build myself up to that. And I just had a crack.
A bit of guts, yeah.
I just had a go at it. I'd watched a few different wedding creatives that I sort of like wished I could be like, I guess, and watched them and thought I could sort of try that out and do that. Looking back on it now, I'm like, wow, that wasn't anywhere where it should have been, but he was so happy with what I'd produced for him and I enjoyed it. I absolutely loved it, obviously. And then that's sort of like what built out to me wanting to do what I wanted to do. And then obviously COVID happened, or the pandemic, don't know what you want to call it or how we want to talk about it, but it threw a spanner in the works, and we had to reassess, obviously going back to Oz, starting things again. But since rebranding and coming back, to me, it was the perfect reset I needed. And I feel
and a lot of people have said that too. The reset it created for a lot of businesses. It hurt a lot of businesses too, but it almost gave people the time to kind of reinvent and work out, who they really want to be.
No, you're right. You're definitely right. And that reinvent is a strong word. Like for me, it's exactly what happened. Like I feel there's so much I learnt from having that first experience to coming back again now and doing it again, knowing what I knew then to knowing what I know now. And seeing the people that survived through that period of time too, that are still here, that was inspiring as well.
Because it was tough, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Some of the stories I heard, like I experienced what I experienced through my own business and what happened. I was luckily enough that I had the opportunity to come back and it's kicked off again, but some people really rode through that. But without going too deep into what happened then, I guess people contacting us and the communications and friendships we made throughout the years of being here before that break, coming back, them saying, you need to come back. You need to get back to Bali. This is happening. There's so many weddings about to happen again. There's so much production opportunity. There's so many music festivals and all this stuff happening that I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's make sure we come back. And since coming back, obviously it's been incredible. There's been so many great things that have happened, and obviously getting the opportunity to work with like-minded businesses and people like yourself and those sorts of things. It's just been, it's a feeling of like, I've made the right decision to go again here.
You've got to like I know we relate to this a lot, listening to what you're saying right now. We've just done the same thing, but taking that initial leap is just like, is this the right thing for not only you, but is it the right thing for your partner, for your family, for your child, for... there's a lot riding on that, and there's something in, so congratulations.
Oh, I appreciate it. Honestly, thank you, and thank you to everyone that is having a go back here again. Obviously, this is such a beautiful place. There's so many great memories and stuff that has been built in Bali, and Bali is a special place and it deserves what it does. But you're right, there's so many elements, right? And you can sit there and go, I wish I could do that, or I wish I did this. You've just got to do it.
Oh, yeah, you just got to do it.
And if you don't want to wonder.
No.
And I guess the biggest thing is as well, if you are doing that sort of living life that way in a sense, opportunities just arise out of nowhere. And there's no doubt that if I hadn't done it again, these sorts of opportunities wouldn't have arisen, the connection that we've got with you guys now and those sorts of things, So to me, I guess living it like that way, it just makes sense. There are ups and downs, there's Bali days, and there's all sorts of things that come with it.
Just the slow. I think it's just the slow time that I'm still kind of moulding into, but I'm getting there. And the traffic.
That's it. There's certain elements that you've just got to go, cool, I get it. It's a part of it.
Yeah.
And if you can transition to that mindset, then I think it's, it's doable and achievable for sure.
Awesome. Tell me about some of the best weddings you've ever shot. What made them so good? What were those moments that you remember?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that do just pop into the mind straight away, because I feel like every one of them has their own certain element of like, oh, that was awesome. It could be as little as like a look that the partner gives the other partner.
Totally.
To me, sometimes that resonates. Yes, correct. Like, that will sit with me. Like, that will be like, I can really see that they're truly just so happy for this moment, and they forget that there's people around them. Moments like that sit well for me, like as a creative, because it's like, we caught that, or we got it on camera. I'm so stoked, because there's so many elements to a wedding, right? There's right from people arriving, especially destination weddings like Bali. It's more than just the day.
Oh,
it's
so
when
much
people
more.
arrive. It's your family and friends getting in 4 or 5 days before the actual wedding begins.
Yeah.
It's the pre-planning of like, where we're going to go for catch-up drinks. How are we going to roll into day one?
Where are they all going to stay?
Is the groom going to be, at old man till 5 in the morning?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But
is he going to be standing there when the bride walks down the aisle?
I mean, there's so many moments. And rolling back to your question, without getting too far ahead of like what we're talking about, I guess one of the best ones of recent times, and I know you are close friends with Kylie and Brody, but to me that was probably one of the best weddings I've shot from start to finish. I kind of like to look at my weddings and captures we do as a whole, not segments.
It was phenomenal.
It was one of the best weddings I've seriously
What
been
made
a
it
part
so
of.
good?
It always comes back down to the couple for me. That makes the wedding so good. They are genuinely in love. They have so much support for one another, and you can tell that through their friends and through the people that were around them. That makes the day just so great. And the energy that comes from that just is in the room. And it started from the morning when we met with Kylie and you guys were all hanging out and stuff like that. Like, I'm not just saying this because you're sitting here. There's no doubt.
No, I know. I felt that on the day, and I've been to a million weddings, and it's hard to even talk to her about it and say, like, do you understand how good that was? But when I think about, and I think you're so right, when I think about what made that wedding so good, it ultimately comes down to the couple, but it was the people
100%.
around them. And I have known that girl since I was 2 or 3 years old. So I know a lot of people in her life, but I didn't know a lot too. So every single person there was so forward in like wanting to get to know everybody, which just made it such a comfortable like room to be in. And you're meeting like people from throughout her entire life. And but just on a note, guys, if you want to go and listen to this wedding, it is on episode 2. So go back and have a listen. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure. If you get a chance, definitely go back and have a look at that. There's no doubt it was one of the best weddings I've been a part of. And obviously being beachside, cliffront, like El Cabron.
Yeah, which you don't see.
No.
Like it, it was kind of
an incredible establishment. And to be able to shoot there and do that, which we're fine-tuning the last bits and pieces of that wedding edit. And the photos, can't wait to show everyone. So
we can't wait to see them.
Plenty have stood out in the past. Like there's been heaps that have, to me, just gone, wow. I felt like that was one of the best weddings I've ever shot. And then the next one, I'd say I felt like that was one of the best weddings I've ever shot. So there's so many that you do feel like that.
I think you were right in saying that you probably take moments away from every wedding.
No doubt.
There's just that split, like 2-3 seconds that you kind of like. When you think of that couple, you think of that moment.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I hear songs all the time and it just makes me think about like, that wedding dance or that sort of, that entrance. I'm like, that brings me back to that moment.
And probably the music that you choose to put to their videos as well.
Well, it's a big part of creating that energy and that vibe. You've really got to feel out like what they like. But yeah, you're right. When I do hear some songs that you've edited to over and over again, you're like,
hours upon
how can I not think of that moment?
Yeah, for sure.
Hey WedSetters, are you looking for a wedding planner, wedding venue, photographer or furniture? We've found the very best Bali wedding vendors and put them on the WedSetter directory so you can plan your whole wedding in one place. Head to wedsetter.com and start searching in each category you need. Happy planning.
Outside of weddings, tell me about some other opportunities that you've had through your photography and videography.
Yeah, cool. Well, obviously, not just Motion House Weddings, there's Motion House Creative. So there's two branches to what I've set up, and one's creative, which is everything from shooting retreats with incredible companies like Journey Retreats, one of my favourite clients, to doing music production, festivals, working at places like, Finn's Beach Club. We did their New Year's last year. So those sorts of places, they still drive me to do that sort of stuff. Absolutely love the wedding industry and what we do there and create timeless visuals for people and memories.
Yeah.
But for me, there's that element of like, going to for example, we did Dream Machine Festival this year, the first one that was in Bali, not knowing their team too well, bringing our team in, shooting over 4 days of 12 hours a day, banging out highlight reels by the next morning, doing, multiple edits throughout the night so they can post them. There's that energy that comes with that. It's hard to explain. It's not an adrenaline rush in a way, but it's more like it's a challenge,
Yeah,
and
it's massive.
You've got guys that are so talented that are a part of our team, and there's so many out there that do this sort of stuff, but to be able to go out and capture elements of a night, bring them into an editing room, piece them together to tell a story within half an hour or almost live, to me that's kind of like, it's a massive, it's a reward. And to see that go on socials and people see that for me is kind of like, oh, that's really cool. And love it. You know,
and share it over and over,
especially if there's an event where people can still attend the event and they haven't sold out, for example, and they're seeing these socials go up. That's my drive, to be like, let's get more people in the door, so you can then, you know, you can profit from them people coming into seeing your event live and happening and go,
I'm
cool,
sure the client then goes, right, you know, let's book Jaran next year.
Well, I mean, that's the ultimate aim for us to do things like that. There's no doubt that's what I want, but there's the thrill of giving back. And I think that comes with what it is that drove me to doing what I do now, and that's seeing people enjoy the result. People being happy with what they see. That to me is why we still do Motion House Creative. And there's other things that come off that, but that's probably my biggest driving force, is that result-based stuff. People going, cool, wow, that was really awesome.
I see that you travelled, is it to the Mentawais a bit?
I've done Mentawais. Yeah, I've done Mentawais a few times. And
what were you doing there?
There's a few things we've done. I've done resort-based content for surf resorts and surfing trips. So Perfect Wave Travel. They're one of my other, closest clients. Worked with them for years, and they're incredible. But basically, what they'll do is they'll put me on, say, for example, a boat trip, new boat that's just been put on their fleet. I know, lucky, right?
Amazing.
I pinch myself because
it is a pinch me moment. Wow.
100%. Like years ago, I saw a brochure. I mean, I'm massive on manifesting. I don't know, like there's a lot of people that talk about it, but I'm a firm believer if you put yourself in that mindset that you're going to get to something, like it can cultivate.
Absolutely.
And I saw this brochure once, and it's a massive standpoint for me and my partner, Ree, because I said to her, I was like, wow, when we first came to Bali on a holiday, I was like, Perfect Wave Travel was on the back of a magazine in the cafe we were at, and I was like, I'd love to do something like that one day. And I mean, it's not just.
Did you make contact? What was the connection like? Did they make contact with you?
We somehow just managed to just meet throughout another shoot.
Be in the same room at the same time.
Yeah, similar situation to be in the same room at the same time. I was shooting an event retreat at a hotel where they were doing an event as well, and they just sort of crossed paths, and just don't know, through a series of fortunate events, connections and people I have made friends with along the way, knew the owner, and we sort of got along really well. And, you know, as the Aussies would say, Bob's your uncle.
Yeah.
But fortunate that fell in my favour. But he's put me on certain trips to just do like a surfing trip for a week with some mates, or just go shoot the new boat. Prior to the pandemic, we did Maldives, which was one of the best trips I've ever done. We did like 3 resorts, 3 boats, and I was just thinking, this is the epitome of everything I've ever wanted to do.
And do you take the family?
Yeah.
Like family go with all of your crew as well?
This was before Xander was born.
Yeah.
This was 2019 at the beginning. So we were in the Maldives. Do you want me to go into this as pushing the time too far?
No, you go for it.
We were in the Maldives. We were shooting for Perfect Wave Travel. The couple of new boats that they had were doing content for them, and there was a few land-based resorts. We got to spend some time in a place called Saniva Fushi, which is a 6-star resort in the Maldives.
Wow.
And, you know, I've never experienced anything like that.
Yeah.
I've never had the opportunity to experience those things growing up as a child.
A lot of people wouldn't though.
But to experience that and to sit there and think, I'm actually shooting and filming and taking photos of this place, was kind of like...
Pinch me.
Yeah. It was just like, really wanted to live in that moment and soak up everything that it was. And it was in the middle of when everything had started with the whole pandemic. So we ended up having to fly out. The trip got cut short. We had one more resort that we were doing, and it got cut short. They said we had to leave the island, otherwise we'd get stuck there. And I was like, hey, you know, we can stay.
Yeah.
But there was fees off the back of staying, and we're like, okay, well, maybe we've got to go.
Yeah.
So we ended up back in Bali. But yeah, that was probably one of the best things that had come out of doing what I've done. That's hands down, like, it just still stays there in your mind. Like, the opportunity to get that chance to do that was huge.
Yeah, right.
Huge, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
To bring you back to weddings, quite often we go out to our followers on Instagram and ask them if they have any questions to ask a specialist in photography and videography like yourself. The first one, do you encourage a photography shot list?
Depends on the individual, and I know that's hard to say. It's a very broad question. I do like to have some form of indication as to like what it is that you do like to do. Some people want to go off the cuff and just say, you guys take full control, and that's totally fine. We do enjoy that stuff too. But if you do feel like that there is an element of a specific style or shot that you wish you have, like if you envision your wedding day and you can close your eyes and imagine some shots, 100%.
Write them down.
Put them on paper or let us know, because ultimately we're here to give you what it is that you want, right? We're not here to create something that we think is incredible. It's when you look back on it or you have it printed out and put on your wall, what do you envision what your wedding day looks like? So if there's something that sticks out, I say yes. But I'm also massive for not having a full shots list, because if you're creating a full shots list, you're not going to be thinking about your day. It would be quite
rigid in what you're, okay, let's do this one now, guys. Let's do,
Yeah, and obviously with what we do at Motion House Weddings is we are candid. We do like to capture the moment and have the couple just enjoy themselves and have fun. So for me, it's kind of like if you are writing out a full script or a full photo brief or having a full Pinterest board of what it should look like exactly, you're not ultimately living in your wedding day. And to me, I want you to be in your wedding day, and I want us to just be a part of what it is that you're doing, and then you get the result after that. A couple of photos is fine, but not
a full shot list.
Full shot list, because then you're turning it into a production. You're not turning it, you're not having a wedding day.
Yeah, okay.
Essentially.
What's the most underrated wedding shot?
Underrated wedding shot. Well, there's a few that come to mind. I feel like obviously everyone thinks that the aisle walk's your most important shot, but I think
with the confetti and the petals and all.
Yeah. I think the most underrated shot would probably be the moment just after everything's happened. All right, and the couple are having that moment together, and they're just standing there. And I encourage people to just go, look, just take 5 minutes to have time for yourself. And that's when I feel like they're in their most raw moment, because they do let it go. They sort of have that breather. That is when I think is probably the most underrated shot for me. Not many people think about it. It's candid.
You're just capturing it from a distance.
And I sort of try and make it work that they are doing something that would look nice to get a photo of, whether I sit them down somewhere or I get the guys to put them somewhere. Then they have a moment together. That to me is an underrated moment, because there's all these shots that you're thinking you should get, but it's the shots you don't think you need or you haven't thought about. Which will end up
being your favourite, yeah.
They end up being a favourite. And that's when I look back through the albums and I'll be like, yeah, that moment wasn't planned, but that to me
is the best moment.
Hits, because, they're having a connection. They're stopping for a second because
they're probably saying, we just got married.
We just got married. Or even just having that breather for a couple of seconds is so much, it's so intense.
And all eyes aren't on you.
100%. Like, it is intense. Like every wedding, still from us as the creatives, like I feel it. Like I'm sweating bullets here in Bali. Like my shirt's soaked by the end of the ceremony.
Yeah.
But it's that moment. I try and just encourage, hey, have a second together. Just stop for a moment and have that moment.
Yeah.
That for me is that moment of a chance to get that shot.
Yeah, awesome. We also had one comment here that just said, what a man, and it had like these fire, I think it was your wife.
Thanks, Reba.
All right, what is one of the most common mistakes couples make when having their photos taken?
Common mistakes? I mean, it's up to them to do what they want to do on the day, essentially, as well. Like, I'm not going to say you can and can't do something because it is your day. Pay a lot of money for weddings, I get that. But I guess the biggest thing is overachieving something.
I was going to say, trying to fit too many things in.
Don't overachieve. Don't feel like you have to have a certain amount of shots or a certain amount of things and places to go to and things to fit in, because ultimately what that's going to do is it's just going to compress your whole opportunity you're either going to bounce around to too many different locations to get a shot, or you're going to try and rush through moments. And the goal and aim of getting that pure connection shot of you and your partner, brand new marriage, you're married, you're together. So I'll start that again. It's your moment of like, it's just happened. It's fresh. It's new. You're married. Okay. So for you to have that moment, whether it's in two spots of a wedding villa, or if it's at two locations outside of the villa, it doesn't need to be 4 or 5. It can just be a couple of locations. As long as you're really feeling that moment, you don't need to overachieve everything, because trust me, the shots they'll resonate that.
Yeah.
They will resonate. If you are thinking too deeply about it, it shows through, because you're not really enjoying that one moment and being present. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think back to when I was a bride, I was trying to, wanted to go there and then wanted to go there. And then in the end, I think we did one.
Yeah.
And they were on the beach and they were on the black sand of Karamis, which I didn't even really like in the end.
Yeah.
And it was the ones that were captured with our friends and like just candidly that are in the frames at home.
Yeah, they're the ones that you remember because they were pure moments.
Yeah, true.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And not posed.
Correct.
That's
what I'm trying to say. It's like if you overanalyze anything, you're always going to see that as the end result. You're going to remember those moments of, I tried to fit too much in there. Or it's like, I don't think I enjoyed that moment enough. Just be in that moment, and whatever happens, you might even end up at a spot you never even thought of. Or you might end up doing something you never thought of. As long as you are in that moment, it shows through the shots. That's all I can say as a recommendation for that question, for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. When I think about it too, I just, I think about all the different things that we were trying to achieve, and you're racing against that sunset too. That's the most important part of and then in the end it was kind of like, well, the best photos are actually, those ones that we didn't even know were being taken.
Where you slow down, pelan, as they say in Bali, just have that slow down period, like especially in Bali with the sun setting and weddings are later in the afternoon. I do feel that, bringing up that point, that is probably one of the biggest questions we get is, how much time do I have, or how much time do I need? Understandable that you want to know those things, but really it's as long as you want it to be, and it's up to you to feel it in that moment. And like you said, if it's 20 minutes, you might get it done in 20 minutes. As long as you're there and you're feeling that connection with your partner, it'll come out and it'll show through the shots, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's quite a common thing, particularly brides, because they're so into what they want the photos to end up like racing against the sunset.
Yes,
It's like, I can totally relate to that, even in my own experience.
Yeah, for sure.
And particularly for my wedding, or our wedding, mine and Beau's, I was late going down the aisle by like 15 minutes.
That's all right. You can be fashionably late.
But when you're racing against the clock to the sunset, I was immediately like, oh my God, do we have time? What are we doing? Where are we going? Are we not going there? Are we going, and that is the role of probably a good wedding planner or even, you guys as a photographer taking control and being like, we got this, guys, we've got plenty of time.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the biggest things I do try and push through with the guys that shoot for us and myself, is to take control of that moment, because it is easily lost, and you can feel that turn. I understand exactly what you're saying. Like if you
you would see it all the time.
100%. And you've got to be able to read the room. That's one of the biggest things that I teach my guys and pass on, is you've got to see that and feel that. And if you do see it, then you've just got to basically just calm things down again. Remember that, there is ample time. You've got the whole night ahead of you as well. You could do some flash photography at night and do a couple of really cool shots later on.
Things.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just a matter of just going, cool, slow down a little bit. Everything's going to be all right.
Yeah, I totally get that. What is this kind of flows into this. What is your best timeline recommendations for a Bali wedding?
That does roll in nicely. Yeah. This wasn't pre-planned at all. No, you're right. Sorry, I'm just going to take a quick sip. I thoroughly enjoy like a late afternoon ceremony with that soft light.
Yeah.
We know the Bali sun's quite intense. So like if you're doing, even in Australia, depends wherever it is you're getting married, that late afternoon is nice. And a lot of people do get too worried about trying to fit that afternoon creative shoot in. There's nothing to say that you could do, you know, the bulk of the shooting straight after the ceremony and then get your family photos later.
Do any couples shoot before the ceremony?
We have had a couple of people do that. We've had a few that have done like a
they do a
reveal.
first look?
Yeah. I reckon that's pretty cool.
One of our other friends did it in Mexico and it was so good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I've not really seen it done here.
I do like it.
Yeah.
Some of them, we've done a few actually. A couple didn't look at each other and they stood next to each other on a wall and they sort of held hands and passed each other a note.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from a creative element, that was really powerful. They were like at a really nice position. You could frame it nicely. But the other couple we did, they saw each other. Well, the few that we have done where they looked at each other, we did get some really nice shots of. And I guess that's going against obviously tradition. But what is tradition? It's your day. It's your moment, right?
I was in the same bed as Bo the night before and woke up next to him and said, "See you later, I'm going to get ready." We were not about tradition.
I'm a massive believer on, you do you. Like, I know that's such a cliche comment, but like, I mean, it is what it is. Like you have your vision. If you want to do photos before the ceremony, why not? You paid for the place. You paid for the people to be there. The day's on you. You know, there's no one going to say, "Hey, you can't do that." Like,
I just love the idea, and I actually had never even thought about it before my girlfriend did it. I love the idea of how fresh everyone looked in their images because they had just finished with hair and makeup.
Yeah.
They did their first look, which was so unbelievable, to see. And then they actually went walking through the streets of Mexico.
There you go.
And had these amazing shots in front of like murals and everything, and then came back and nobody had even known because they were like, you know, getting into the ceremony and having their first drink and whatever. And then when they walked down the aisle, they actually did it so that they were both comfortable with, you know, walking down. Like the groom as well was comfortable with her walking down. And they'd already seen each other.
Gotcha. So there wasn't that element of like he might just burst out crying.
I'm not sure. I think he probably cried anyway. But it was just really beautiful. And I would almost encourage people to do it here, particularly when they're worried about that Bali sun. Like stripping their makeup or sweating or their hair dropping or whatever.
100%.
You could totally do it before the ceremony.
Yeah, there's no doubt at all. I agree with you completely. Like, I think if you want to do it, do it. You know, there is no reason why you can't. It's simple, really. It's your day.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey WedSetters, are you having trouble staying on track with your budget? We've designed an editable wedding budget that's already filled in. You can add, edit, or remove to suit your day and stay on track throughout your entire wedding planning journey. Simply head to wedsetter.com/wedding-budget to download. Happy planning!
What's the best piece of advice you can give to a couple that hate posing for photos?
I know this is like one of the, I guess, most common responses that a photographer or a videographer would do is say, forget we're there, you know, like, I mean, that's kind of like, yeah, cool, we know that.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt when you've got someone standing there, even if they're not holding a camera, it can be
off-putting.
An off-putting thing, right? But the way I would probably get around it and the way we generally get around it, and I do personally, is I just have moments with them, you know, and I can't speak for all vendors, but for us, with us at Motion House Weddings, we be a part of your day. And by that time, if once you get to that point, you know us well enough and you have that feeling of, cool, these guys or these girls are just a part of our day. And that by that time, I mean, these questions will come based off they haven't had the opportunity to meet us yet or work with us. By that time, I can guarantee you're comfortable and you know that whatever we're doing is just on you anyway and it's your day, and I always project that. So for me, that would probably be my best answer to that. But if it's not with us and it's with someone else, my best response would probably be just look at your partner and then think about what you've just achieved. Then everything else will come naturally. You just don't need to look around. Just you and your partner, you've done that moment. okay, here you are, you're married. And then that generally drops that angst and that pressure. They get that connection again, and then the photos will roll off from that.
Yeah, awesome. What is your favourite Bali wedding venue?
Favourite Bali wedding venue? They're all so special, right? Like there's heaps of different elements that make up all these amazing locations.
You can give us a couple if it's hard.
I love Villa Semapura, I think it is, in Chamagi. Semarapura. Purely based off the fact that it's just such a powerful area. Like to me, like the Balinese culture that's there and the temple that's adjacent to the villa, I feel there's a big energy and the sunset there is incredible.
It's awesome that you feel that when you go there.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I love this place and I do feel a lot of the spirituality that is connected to Bali. Don't know how or why, but there's that feeling of, you know, I respect it, I guess, in a sense. So there's that part that draws me to that place and I look at that venue and I'm like, yeah, I love that spot.
Yeah.
Massive lawn.
So a couple comes to you and they say, we're getting married here, and you're like,
well,
yes, we can.
Yes, I love that spot. I'm like, yeah, I recommend it. Then you've also got like the cliffside weddings. You know, there's so many. Anything that's along the Uluwatu strip is incredible. You know, that southern side.
Yeah, that sunset.
Yeah, I mean, there's the Ulu side, like the El Kabon side.
Oh, you mean around the other side?
I'm talking about the other side, right, where you're just looking straight over the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, and you still get the magic skies, but you don't get that
correct. And that's
harsh
what I was
sun,
going to bring up. You get this sort of backlit light, which, you know, from a photographer's perspective, you're getting like this softer light that comes through from behind you, not directly into your face like you would get if you were on the, say, the Ungasan side. If you were on like the Nyang Nyang side, which is like, you know, the southern tip, you get this pink and blue through the sky as well, which makes a really nice backdrop. So, I mean, to give you one, probably I can't say it, sorry.
Semarapura. Yeah, I think that's right.
Semarapura.
There's a few that look really similar.
Yeah, that's it. That's correct. That spot I love. And I like that part of Bali as well. So that's my number one if you wanted to ask me.
And any favourite Bali wedding vendors you want to give a shout out to?
There's so many there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, definitely. And they're very good friends of mine and part of the reason why I am back here doing this again, you know, Tash.
Yeah.
And Jess.
Plan A.
Soray Society.
Soray Society.
So she's just recently rebranded as well.
Yes, she has. That's why I was like, no.
Which Jess used to be Q Events.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like I said, both of those played a big role in us coming back to do this again, because the communication that they had with us and the support that they gave us and belief to come back and do what we were doing. So those two definitely stand out. But there is some incredible vendors out there. I guess you could say that you're a vendor in a sense as well, you know, like to go through you and then you know, outsource. But there's so many that we work with that we absolutely love, you know. So to everyone, thank you for doing what you're doing, because obviously you're giving work back to Bali and the people in Bali. So yeah, everyone, I guess.
Yeah, well, I would be the same. I couldn't actually pick out a couple.
So tough.
Well, we all work together so much that we have really great relationships with the people that we see. So.
Exactly. I mean, you could roll on so many. Like the Global Weddings team, I've only had the opportunity this year to work with those guys. And since, like, already we're like, wow, let's do more. And they want to do more. So I'm sure there's more relationships that are going to grow from that. But, you know, the nostalgia thought of me being here prior to the pandemic, those two stand out. So,
yeah. And that's really special if they were like, you know, the part of the reason why you came back and constantly
definitely
trying to get you back.
And gave us an opportunity too, I guess. There was a lot of people prior to the pandemic that were shooting here in Bali. There was a bit of competition and I was given the opportunity with those guys prior to that. So I guess, you know, they believed in it then and here we are now, you know. It's like the busiest we've ever been. It's insane.
Oh, it's been an amazing wedding season though.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. And I can't thank you enough as well for giving us the opportunity to do the giveaway. That was
awesome. I actually only talked about the video you did to someone yesterday and I was like, oh, if it's creativity that you need, I'll show you this video, and
Yeah, appreciate
I'm
it.
pretty sure they're going to be in contact, so I'll let you know about
great.
that. But,
I really appreciate that.
yeah, you've just got a very different offering that I hadn't seen in Bali before you guys came, or before I discovered you through Kylie.
Yeah.
So, it's good.
Yeah, cool. I really appreciate it. Like, honestly, like, I mean, weddings, there's so many elements, like, a part of it, like what I've said, but to have a niche in a sense, like you're saying, that's special. And I appreciate that a lot,
I also feel like there is enough work for everyone.
No doubt.
And everybody has their niche of why people... so I just think you keep doing what you do and people will gravitate towards you. Love that.
That's great advice. And honestly, I agree with you 100%. There is always enough work. There always is. And I have a big belief of supporting everyone out there that is in this industry. I want people to get the work because it stems and it flows down. You know, the locals that are involved with working with these companies, obviously, like I'm an Australian-owned company, but we have Indonesian staff. Having more work and opportunities here is just giving back anyway.
For sure.
So I'm a massive supporter of everyone that's in this industry. There was a ridiculous number of weddings this year, wasn't there? Like,
so ridiculous.
Someone said a number the other day.
Oh, I don't know what the stats are, but I actually can't wait to see it.
It's ridiculous. I'm not going to quote on it because I'm not going to be. I don't want to be 100%. Like I don't want someone to point the finger at me and go that. But I heard it was a huge number.
Yeah.
And just to we know Bali, right? And to be a part of it and to see where it is again, but just even the logistics of everything.
But also knowing what the flow-on effect is of like the tourism numbers and the 60 to 80 guests that are coming with all those weddings. You know, Bali's back.
It is. It's 100% back. It's a destination that people want to be in. Like there's no doubt. And it's so good to see it flourishing again. Honestly, like so happy to see that.
Yeah, me too.
There's a few things that need to be tweaked to make things a little easier, but hey.
I don't think that'll ever happen. I've got some rapid fire questions to finish up here.
Yeah.
Band or DJ?
DJ, for sure.
Set menu or shared plates?
Love a shared plate.
Wedding sunrise or sunset?
Sunset, for sure. Sunrise. Depends. Have you gone all night?
Weddings.
Have you gone through the night and we're talking like sunrise?
That's up to you.
Sunset.
Cocktail or sit-down reception?
Ooh. Sit down.
Champagne or cocktails?
Cocktails.
First dance or welcome dance?
Both. You have to give her the opportunity to have a first dance.
You got to choose, mate.
Oh.
What are when you think about the best first dance or the best welcome dance you've ever seen, and I know a really great welcome one that you just saw.
Yeah,
it's hard.
It's so hard.
It's actually the last podcast said both as well.
Look, okay, I'm going to flip it on the head here because I'm going to say welcome because you have the opportunity to have all your bridal party come in and just let go. And to me, that's the funniest part because, you know, everyone gets amped up after that point. Once that happens, it's game on. You know,
well, they show a bit of personality, 100%. A bit of character.
Yeah, no doubt at all. Yeah, okay. For entrance.
Yeah, entrance. One dress or two?
Two.
Yeah.
Only because Ree does the second dresses in her brand and her label.
Oh, okay. What does
Which
Ree
will be
do?
released later this year.
All right. Well, we'll make sure that we put that in the show notes. But I'm yet to hear about that, which is awesome.
I can't give you too much information, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It has been an absolute pleasure chatting to you.
Yeah.
You have given everybody so much wisdom in photography and videography. You are clever and creative, and we just love the chance when we get to work with you. And I loved being in a bridal party when I got the chance to actually see you in action.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
It was awesome.
They're very kind words. Thanks. And this was really nice to be a part of, to do something like this, like to have the opportunity to come in and express how much we love about what it is we do in a place that we absolutely love. So, yeah, special. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And good luck to the rest of them. I want to, you know, keep my eye on it all and see what comes of it.
They'll be live soon.
Yeah.
Please follow, rate and review wherever you listen and watch your podcasts. And follow us on Instagram at WedSetter_. Thanks for listening and watching. Bye.